Wolves 0, Arsenal 1. A gargantuan win for Mikel Arteta's Arsenal, as despite being down to 10 men again, Gabriel's first half goal was enough to secure a massive 3 points. But what were the key defensive tactics and which players stood out? As always, smash a like and subscribe if you are new, and here are the 5 things that we learnt from Wolves 0, Arsenal 1. First things first, Mikel Arteta's elite deep block. Boy, in that second half, it was squeaky bum time, and right towards the end, listen, this was not a masterclass in terms of overall tactics, but defensively, after that sending off, let's just say Mikel Arteta got it absolutely spot on. And you can see how much it meant to the Arsenal players. Here's them after the game, going towards the fans. They know how massive this win is for Arteta and Arsenal and our season. And where the Arsenal manager deserves a lot of credit is a little tactical change that Mikel Arteta made just after the whole Gabriel Martinelli fiasco. And as pointed out by EBL, 5 at the back is a superb change from Arteta. Wolves are good against low blocks because they stretch the pitch so wide, but the extra defender means it will be harder for them to manipulate Arsenal's block when shifting play. Holding also excels in the air, a leader profile. I won't lie to you guys, moments after Gabriel Martinelli's red card, in my head I'm going, here we go again, deja vu FC, we've lost it in our own hands and we're our own biggest enemies. The one thing that Mikel Arteta has received criticism in the past is the fact that he is apparently at least a poor in-game manager. But in this specific moment, he was quick to make a change, bring on Rob Holding, change to a back 5, and that was a masterstroke. And in terms of Mr. Holding, he put in a very decent performance, as in terms of his stats, 19 minutes played, 9 clearances, no one else made more than 6, 3 out of 3 duels won, 1 interception and 1 shot blocked as well. Rob Holding is far from the perfect centre back, but in a back 3, right in the middle, as EBL pointed out, he is a leader profile, in the sense that he's very good in the air when it comes to clearing headers, and in terms of clearances FC, Holding is a master of it. And in terms of this low block, this isn't just a one-off occasion. In terms of this low block, Arteta's Arsenal have used in the past to very good success. Only a few weeks ago, of course, at Anfield, down to 10 men after Xhaka's red card, and up against a very good Liverpool team in front of their own crowd, Arsenal limited Liverpool to 1 shot on target. And even in terms of this game, Wolves had no big chances whatsoever, even despite Arsenal going down to 10 men. This all goes back to Arsenal's FA Cup run back in 2020. Arteta's deep block is fantastic. It's a bit Diego Simeone-esque. And in terms of the formation itself, moving into the 5-3-1 we did against Liverpool at Anfield and now Wolves, I'm not saying let's make this Arsenal's go-to tactic because we want to keep 11 men on the pitch, but when it comes to an emergency plan B, this 5-3-1 formation seems to be cash money from Arteta's Arsenal. But hopefully in the future we can keep 11 men on the pitch and this will remain for emergencies only. But do let me know your own thoughts on Mikel Arteta in this game and its overall tactical setup. Was it correct in your opinion? Moving on to the second thing, and that is a Gabriel Magalhaes masterclass. Mr. Magalhaes, our goal scoring centre back, 3 goals now for the season and scoring a gargantuan first goal and only goal of the game. And once again, yet another set piece. We're becoming set piece kings in the Premier League. Not only are we the only team in the league yet to concede a set piece, but also now going forward, scoring goals. Once again, another goal from a corner. And let's just say it was indeed a gargantuan Gabriel goal. But in terms of the stats, he got an 8.0 rating, 1 goal, 5 clearances, 1 interception, 2 tackles, 1 time dribbled pass, 5 out of 6 ground duels won, and 1 aerial duel won as well as an 85% pass accuracy and also 2 key passes. To get 2 key passes as a centre back, well, that is what it is. But as great as Gabby was alongside Rob Holding, you also have to give credit to Mr. Benjamin Blanco. And here is a photo of Benjamin White after the game, and you can see what it means on his face, a massive smile, a massive roar. And that now makes, in terms of Gabriel White, 19 Premier League starts together and 11 clean sheets. Arsenal Football Club are slowly but surely becoming clean sheets FC. Tears are running down my cheeks. What am I seeing? And also in terms of Mr. Ramsdale goal, that is now 11 clean sheets, meaning only Edison has more clean sheets than Aaron Ramsdale this season. Whether it's Ben White, Ramsdale or Gabriel, we are playing like a unit at the back. Now whether that's a 5 at the back or a 4 at the back, Arsenal look resolute, they look very solid, and there seems to be a bit of a connection that is forming. And what that means is, going into the long term, these players are still 23, 24 years of age. They're only going to get better. And as much as you want to give credit to Cedric Suarez today, we also have Takehiro Tomiyasu to return as well. And let's not also forget, in the near future we're going to have a certain French Mbappe centre backs entering the fray as well, and that being Mr. William Saliba. For the first time in a very long time, Arsenal fans, we have some reliable centre backs. But in terms of yourselves, who was your Arsenal man of the match in this game? Moving on to the third thing, and that is the pressing on points. Now a couple of days ago ago in your boys preview, I made it very clear that in this game, one thing that was going to be extremely important was how Arsenal pressed. And so with that kept in mind, we did see a Mikel Arteta structural change. Now the first change we saw was in terms of Granit Xhaka going man-to-man Ruben Neves. You had Martinelli and Saka running onto the centre-backs, and you also had Kieran Tierney and Cedric Suarez both in the faces of the wing-backs as well. So it switched from the 4-4-2 to a man-to-man oriented press, and it worked to a T, but at the same time there were still very obvious flaws. Because as pointed out by EBL, Arsenal's structure to the press is there, but they have been passive on a number of occasions. They can't afford to do that. Letting Wolves play out the way they have in the last couple of minutes has been weak from Arsenal's mentality. They must be aggressive and not passive. Now make no mistake, it was a fantastic result, but it wasn't quite a fantastic performance, and that's because when you go for a man-to-man pressing system, you have to be very aggressive. Whereas in terms of the Arsenal personnel today, they were very inconsistent in that behalf. So even though it was a very decent result in terms of the performance, I think there is still a lot to improve. But of course, in terms of the overall expected goals, Wolves had 0.85 and Arsenal 1.55. So a deserved Arsenal win despite us not being at our best, which is a very key thing. If Arsenal want to make the Champions League places, sometimes you're not going to be at your best. You're not going to be playing liquid football. So to go to Wolves away, of course, a very difficult game where Arsenal have only won once in the past few years. Despite the importance of a performance, this was a game all about the result, and thankfully it went the way of Arsenal Football Club. But what are your own thoughts on the game, and do you think that Arsenal were deserved winners? Moving on to the fourth thing, and that's Gabriel Martinelli's naivety. Here we are once again after an Arsenal game where Arsenal once again could not finish with 11 men. Because in a very unusual way of doing it, Gabriel Martinelli received 2 yellow cards in the same sequence of play, becoming the 4th Arsenal player in 6 games in 2022 to get sent off. 6 games, 4 red cards. We've got more red cards than goals in this year so far. Arsenal, what are you guys doing? But in terms of the red card itself, let's just say there was a lot of controversy. In terms of Mikel Arteta on the red card, he says, "I've never seen anything like this before. I've never seen that before in my career. The rules can say it's possible, but you have to be very willing to do it." And in terms of when Arteta was asked on if there's anything he can do to stop these red cards, he says, "I've run out of ideas." A very sarcastic reply there, but in terms of the red cards itself, let's be frankly honest. In terms of this, I have never seen anything like this before. Now yes, in terms of both fouls, they are very cynical, and in terms of my opinion, if it was vice versa, I would be also calling for a red card. But in terms of how often a player receives 2 yellow cards in the same sequence of play, I can't think of a single occasion in the past few years where I've seen this. Now thankfully in terms of the overall result itself, it didn't matter. But in terms of the rules itself, let's just have a look at them because they are very interesting. Because as the FA points out on their official website, in terms of advantages, if the offence was interfering with someone or stopping a promising attack, the player should not be cautioned. Now keeping that in mind, in terms of Martinelli's first offence, of course, it was to stop the player taking the throw in. Now the fact that it's in the Wolves half means that it's not denying a goal scoring opportunity, but more importantly, he's interfering with play and trying to stop a promising attack, which as the rule states, if that is the case where advantage is played, the player should not receive a yellow card. And if the referees are going to play by the rules, let's just say Martinelli potentially was unlucky. And in terms of Mikel Arteta, he has told James Bench that he wants to have talks with the league over some of the decisions that have been made against Arsenal today. He repeated his point from the TV interviews that it was a red card you have to want to give. So clearly a very frustrated Mikel Arteta there, and totally understandably why. But with the rules are kept in mind, I would not be surprised if Arsenal were to somehow appeal this red card and try to get this turned over. Because even though in terms of myself, I do think that Martinelli was very naive, at the same time the rules are the rules. So with that all taken into account, what do you guys make of Gabriel Martinelli's red card? Was it correct or was he unlucky? But yeah, in terms of the Arsenal players, here's a little word of advice. If you guys want to make the Champions League places, how about you try to keep 11 men on the pitch, because you know what that does? It gives you a massive advantage. And fifth and finally, a gargantuan top 4 boost. In the race for the Champions League places, this was a gargantuan result for Arsenal, and that is mainly because of the results in the past few days. Not only did Man United draw against Burnley, but also Tottenham Hotspur doing what they do best, and that is bottling a 2-1 lead to lose 3-2 at home against Southampton. To get the win now, we finally capitalised. Tears in my eyes, thank God for that. In terms of Alexandre Lacazette on the win after the game, he says it means a lot for us because we really wanted to win this game. We used the break to work a lot. We went to the training camp all together to work, and I think we showed a lot of positive things. Now in a sense, I do agree Alexandre Lacazette, it was an improved performance, but in terms of yourself, you're you're going to be under surveillance now, because don't you think that I forgot that big chance you missed one-on-one in the second half where you could have killed the game off there and there. Thankfully at the end for Arsenal it worked out in our favour, but long term in other future games, if Lacazette is missing those type of big chances, it could and probably will leave Arsenal in a spot of bother. In terms of Arteta, he says, I keep telling you guys how close they are, how much they like to play together, the unity and the togetherness around the dressing room, and how willing they are to defend that shirt every single match. This was by no means a vintage Arsenal performance or even in any way a tactical masterclass. What we saw was an Arsenal team fighting for each other, the desire, the passion, and ultimately character. As Mikel Arteta says, it shows how united the Arsenal dressing room is, that despite the departure of the ex-captain Mr. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. This was the definition of a good old 1-0 to the Arsenal, and sometimes that's all you need. But in terms of where that leaves Arsenal in the race for the Champions League places, Arsenal move over 5th place over Man United and Spurs on 39 points with 22 games played, and 1 point off 4th place West Ham with 2 games in hand. Now I hate being games in hand FC, but that's exactly what we are right now. But you know what, going into the future to move off the 5th place, 1 point off 4 with 2 games in hand, it shows that things are still very much in our hand. And this goes back to the game against Burnley. So many Arsenal fans crying top 4 race is over, it's all over for Arsenal. As I said then, and I'll say one more time, there's a lot more twists and turns to come, but the return of Xhaka and part of midfield and other key personnel will give Arsenal a massive boost, and today was an example of that. But in terms of Arsenal's next 6 games, you've got Brentford at home, Wolves at home, Watford away, Leicester at home, Aston Villa away, and Crystal Palace away. Those games on paper might be simple, but there are some very tricky games there, the likes of Wolves at home again, Watford away fighting relegation, and also Aston Villa away, Crystal Palace away, difficult grounds to go to, teams in decent form as well. 16 games left of this Premier League season, and those are all 16 cup finals for Arsenal. So let me know your own thoughts on Arsenal's race in the Champions League places, and as it stands, where do you guys think Arsenal will finish come the end of the season? But in terms of tonight, thank you very much, Mr. Gabriel Magalhaes. But that is the video there. If you guys have enjoyed, smash a like on it, and also do subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you would like to follow your boy on them social medias, then the links will be down below in the description. But that was the 5 things that we learned from Wolves 0, Arsenal 1, a gargantuan result for Arsenal, Arsenal actually capitalising, tears are running down my cheeks, beautiful scenes my friends, enjoy yourselves, and I'll see you next time in a bit.